Hi there, this is Joey, tuning in from the lake in my hometown, Hanover, Pennsylvania, and this poem is called Hanover, Pennsylvania. We got the moving truck packed up in good time, so my family decided to leave a day early. I felt slightly slighted since I'd be seeing less of them now that they'd be living in Florida. True, I'd left the nest years ago and found my own life, but one last night would have been nice. I worry about them. My little brother's addicted to video games, no desire to go outside, don't know how to ride a bike, won't eat vegetables. Cheerful little sister, but I fear the implications of the princess model of raising a little girl. She's had a Dr. Pepper dependency since she was a toddler. My mom supports the whole family, works her ass off, has my whole life, plays Candy Crush and looks at Facebook. Ed was a creative, once with his own radio shows, writing and directing plays, passionate about shitty movies, until he became a stay-at-home dad, and that took over everything else. Middle-of-the-road, status quo Americans without any real traditions. Except, silly as it sounds, every Christmas Eve we eat at Texas Roadhouse, then drive around and look at Christmas lights. It's nice. It's something. The house got foreclosed on. They've wanted to move to Florida for years, so it's finally happening. I hug them goodbye, I'll see them again, soon hopefully, but they won't be a few hours drive away anymore. I turn back to an empty house, feigning a little poetic reflection, getting drunk alone with the ghosts of memories. My mom and I moved around a lot, but this place stayed. Now I'm bouncing between absent-mindedness and sharp awareness of moments in time. I say goodbye. To the room where I lost my virginity, where my friends and I would stay up all night playing video games and eating junk food together. Where I would become obsessive about movies, keep lists of ones I'd watched, 250 in 2008. The rooftop where my friends and I climbed out of our underwear, drunk and young, parents out of town, tasting our sweet and supple youths, but not savoring it, not knowing how quickly it would dry up. The front den where I watched my grandmother wither away from cancer, sometimes screaming for help in the night. I didn't know what to do. She died in her chair, which is now left behind in an otherwise empty room, standing out like a weird tombstone on its own. The backyards where we'd host lightsaber fights and cookouts at birthday parties. Our dog Astro came into our family, loved us unconditionally, died old and tired. Where my little sister arrived as a newborn baby. I was already gone by then. One visit back home, she was all goo goo gaga. The next time I arrived, she greeted me, "Hi, Joey." Across the street, once a spiraling, empty field, nice to watch the sunset over, now hosts row after row of ticky-tacky housing developments. I start the drive out of town, past the gas station parking lot where we'd flock to smoke cigarettes because what else is there to do on Friday nights but drive, smoke weed, and drive some more. Dutch country restaurant where my first love and I said our goodbyes in gobs of sloppy, naive tears, real juicy, painful, raw, rich, good stuff. Long Arm Dam where I carved our initials into the tree bark in a heart, now all grown over and faded. Cadorus Lake where I would go swimming and try to teach my brothers how to skip rocks, but they didn't really want to leave the house. The intersection where my mom pulls up next to me in my Jeep, cigarette in my window hand. She texts, "You fucked up," as I haul ass away with a pit in my stomach. The grocery store where I stock shelves overnight misery shifts, considered accidentally slipping on a puddle in the back room to collect some sweet, sweet workers' comp. The alleyways and department stores where we hosted a scavenger hunt full of joyful juvenile delinquency. The town square that in my absence grew to be home of hip microbreweries with open mics and jaded bartenders with cool haircuts and ironic tattoos. The library that hosted punk shows on occasion, foreshadowing what my 20s would look like. The house my friend Monica just bought. She signed my yearbook with exclamations of certainty that we would be BFFs. We still catch up occasionally. The bar where everyone reunites when they come back for Thanksgiving. The Royal Farms where Greg and I in our drunken The bar where everyone reunites when they come back for Thanksgiving. The Royal Farms where Greg and I, in our subsequent drunkenness, would eat disgusting amounts of fried chicken. The building that was once my grandparents' computer shop, that they just sold because they ran out of money. And the previous building that was once my grandparents' computer shop, where I first worked for a wage, moving heavy desktop monitors back and forth. Or the big warehouse that was once my grandparents' first computer shop/antique store, where I would roll around on a wheelchair for fun and draw and listen to Kid Rock and explore while my mom was at work. The Sonic Drive-In, where I had my first real job, sweating and skulking over a greasy grill for minimum wage, smoking a blunt behind the dumpster with my manager. The martial arts studio where I would bow and vow, train to live and live to train, and do flips and kicks and shit. The big grocery store whose parking lot was once the Hanover diner, where my parents and I would eat once a week in the non-smoking section. My mother would cut my pancakes up for me, even though I was much too old for that. The smell of potato chips in the air from the Utz factory, our claim to fame. I toured the facility as part of a manufacturing class. That the defeated eyes of laborers there implored me to leave this place immediately. Endless strip malls, banks, box retail stores, fast food chains, and a Walmart on either end of town, like the bookends on the shelf of red-blooded American consumption. This is what my home, my country, the real America looks like, and it's pretty dumb. It's awful, really. I visit my grandmother on the edge of town, just showed up and knocked on the door, figured I should see her while I was in town. She half raised me. She loves me. I love her. I hope she can finally take it easy one of these days and enjoy a relaxing life of being old. Exhale deeply. It is nice to see her, and she's glad I stopped by to say hello. I drive away from home, or at least a place I once called that, towards a place I call home, at least for now.